Anyone can be fooled by a clever card trick or sleight of hand. One moment you see a coin, and the next moment it seems to have evaporated into thin air. This is all very entertaining, but is that all it is, entertaining? I think so. Today at least we're all pretty switched on to the likelihood that no real magic has taken place. We see a coin disappear, a card reappear, or a woman magically transform into a tiger, and we're subconsciously aware that there is a mechanism, a method as to how this illusion is being done, and we're aware of this regardless of our ignorance as to how it is actually being done.
Isn't that a double contradiction in there? You start off by stating that anyone can be fooled, and then go on to say that they're subconsciously aware, and then you go on to state that they're fully aware. How can anyone be fooled if they're aware? Surely being fooled is defined as believing in something without evidence and then being shown that it is wrong. If you are skeptical of something and know it to be false, how can you actually be fooled? You may have a case of cognitive dissonance where you distort reality to hold the view that it's real, but it's also fake. But that's not what you said. You said that anyone can be fooled whilst being aware. Greetings there and welcome people to YouTube. This is Essence Forte and I'm doing a video response to Richard Raspberry and his video, The Atheist Illusion. Who is Richard Raspberry exactly? Well, he's a theist that seems to have a little bit of a big obsession with, well, Richard Dawkins, as his entire channel kind of seems dedicated to that. However, I thought his arguments were actually pretty good for a theist. Then again, that's not saying very much.
You see, if it can be imagined that there is a possible mechanism that caused something else to happen, then the imagination has possibility which is likely of being correct. If you see a bird appear on instance of a magician clicking his fingers, you are left in amazement. But what is it that amazed you? Was it the bird's sudden existence that amazed you, or was it the puzzle as to where the bird was being concealed up until the moment the trick was performed, which amazed you? You see, though we don't always realize it, when viewing magic tricks, or processes in general that we don't accurately understand, we all become as skeptics, mentally trying to comprehend what cause is responsible for the observed effect.
Well, I happen to disagree with this, and I do have a very good reason for that. Over 1/3 of the global population does believe in magic. 1/3 of the global population does believe that there was a man who existed, a magician in the Middle East, who turned water into wine and walked on water as well. He also rose people from the dead, and he managed to spontaneously create food, or duplicate it, I should really say, to be fair to him. I am of course talking about Christianity, and even though these people have not actually seen the miracles themselves, the fact that it's just written and they still accept it without any sense of skepticism is really defeating of your point. Another demographic that I also find fits into this are children. They generally do believe in magic at a young age. They don't necessarily believe that there has to be a natural explanation for this. This is why we throw magician parties for children and not so much for adults. Adults do like to know the workings, at least some of us do. However, for children it is a sense of wonder how this man seems capable of doing anything. We allow this in the West because we define childhood as the golden period of ignorance and bliss.
This does not mean that the imagined cause is a definable thing, but rather it proves the cause exists.
Accept the magic of your own beliefs, of course.
The understanding that all effects have cause is a human condition which comes to us from a very early age in our childhood. Justin L. Barrett is the professor of psychology at Fuller Graduate School of Psychology. Dr. Barrett has a book titled Born Believers, The Science of Children's Religious Beliefs. In this book, Barrett argues that belief in God is innate due to the continual verified fact that all effects have a cause, and that naturally, for something like a child to develop and mature, it requires a loving agent to aid in this process. A baby is made aware of this fact from the very beginning of its life. When the baby cries, its mother brings it milk, and so the baby is instantly made aware that the cry is the cause, which relates directly to the effect of being fed. Of course, a cry can have many effects from a baby's point of view, but milk is a good example in this instance.
You have no idea how amusing I find it is to know that you are actually lying about what you've just stated. At the 5-minute mark, you specifically said that the belief in God was innate, that Barrett had argued this.
In this book, Barrett argues that belief in God is innate.
However, I read an article on The Guardian, written by Justin L. Barrett himself, in which he goes to explain to Mr. Grayling that he did not state that in his book. And I will read you the exact quote right here, and the quote will be linked down below so you can go check it for yourself. So, it says, and I do quote, "Had Grayling attended the seminar as Brown did, or read my book, Why Would Anyone Believe in God?, he would know that I do not say that religion is hardwired or innate, rather that children have propensities to believe in gods because of how their minds naturally work." So, God is not innately hardwired into our brains. The belief in God is not innate, simply put. Yes, the processes are more likely to make a child possibly go that way, but that does not make it innate. So, I can actually sympathize with what Barrett says here. Because going back in history, we do see this in multiple cultures. When we have something that's not explained, for example, the weather, we invent demons or deities to explain that phenomenon. When we have a natural disaster, e.g. a volcano erupting, like in Hawaiian Islands, we make up deities there as well. So yes, we as humans do not like not understanding something. And when we don't understand something, we fill in the gaps. The problem with this argument, which you seem to have made to point at children and then atheists and then go, if these children can figure it out, why can't you? Is that it is an argument from ignorance to the contrary. i.e., you are focusing on what children don't know rather than what scientists and philosophers do know. Possibly we should start looking at what the specialists in the field actually say, how the majority of scientists do hold the view that there is no God, how the philosophy of Occam's razor can be applied to the existence of the universe to come to the conclusion that God is an unrequired assertion that religious people make. So yes, a good analogy would be using the child's logic that if they have only seen green apples exist. There are no red apples, there are no yellow apples, only green apples exist. That logic is false. However, the child has learnt this, or at least perceives it that way, because that is the only way they can see it. They have only seen the green apple. They do not know that the red or the yellow apple exists. So maybe you want to think a bit about what you're saying before you actually go and do it. As noted at the beginning, children are not the best place to go for your logic, i.e., they are more likely to believe in magic than adults.
You see, nothing in reality happens without a cause. Rain does not fall from the sky because it magically appeared there. No, nothing in reality exists without a cause.
What this argument from cause and effect is based upon a very misinformed view of science. Cause and effect does not deal with the topic of the creation of the universe, just as evolution does not deal with the abiogenesis, aka life coming from non-life. When it comes down to the laws of physics, i.e. cause and effect in this case, we must understand that the laws of physics only apply to the parameters of the universe, i.e. we need time, we need mass, etc., etc. Without these things, physics do not apply. However, we have to look at the beginning of the universe to better understand this. Prior to the universe, time did not exist. It was not a thing. It could not exist. Also, there was no mass even at the beginning of the universe in the very first nanosecond, less even, because the Higgs field had yet to activate. Only once the Higgs field had activated, giving everything mass, could the laws of physics then come into play. So, to state that we must apply cause and effect to the beginning of the universe is false. Another thing, cause and effect doesn't actually discuss the creation of energy or matter. It only discusses the transferal of energy into another form and the rearranging of particles of matter. It does not make a single claim on the creation of either.
It is for this very reason that atheism does not make any sense.
Quite clearly from your drawing there, you are going to give us a very accurate description of what an atheist actually is.
Atheism, the belief that there is no cause.
Actually, atheism is just a lack of belief in God, and it has no statement on how we believe that the universe came into existence. Also, this view that atheists must believe that the universe came from nothing is completely false. Maybe if you stopped fantasizing about Richard Dawkins, who is a biologist and deals mainly with evolution, and possibly looked at some other examples such as Stephen Hawking, you would learn about things such as multiverse theory.
Is a senseless idea because it is self-refuting, being that there are atheist scientists who are seeking to find causes in nature.
Again, that is a contradiction on your part, to state that atheists believe there is no cause for the universe, yet they are searching for a cause of the universe. Can you not see the contradiction there?
Why such a cause should have started the Big Bang is a question for philosophy and perhaps more so theology.
Whilst I can agree that it is an area for philosophy to talk about, its bastard son theology should keep back at all costs, whereas science, which is also a son of philosophy, being the natural philosophy, is certainly looking into it, and we are trying to find out more and more about the events following the Big Bang to hopefully find out the events prior. But maybe it's beyond us, we don't know. At the moment it is, but we can only keep progressing.
However, the requirement for a cause for which there is a universe to begin with, is a requirement based upon fact and not belief.
Actually, it's a requirement based upon ignorance of the field. For more details on this, I suggest you go and all take a look at my Occam's cosmological argument. Now, whilst it is refuting the Kalam cosmological argument, the philosophy behind it, i.e. utilizing Occam's razor, is very sound and certainly links to this topic.
Atheists believe there is no God, but quite obviously this belief they hold goes directly in conflict with rationality, science, and the innate human logic, as described previously.
Only a theist could fit 3 lies in a single line.
A theist is someone who has watched the magic show and who has then begun to question how the trick was being done. They believe there must be a cause someplace. An atheist is someone who has watched the magic show and who has then denied that there could be any rational explanation for how such a feat took place. They deny there could be a cause.
And that's why it is the atheists who are still curious and still want to find out how the universe began are still studying that field. And it's the theists who go, we know it was God because it says so. Yeah, because that sounds a lot like what you've just stated. In reverse, you are the master of projection. You are trying to pass off your own inabilities and push them onto the opposition. Well, it's not going to work, I can tell you that.
Therefore, Theism is a part of nature. We acknowledge there is design in nature, a creation for which the universe is absolutely required for God to have caused all these things to be. Atheism, on the other hand, is a perversion of nature. It is unnatural that we should be deluded into thinking that the magic trick was real. It is unnatural that we should fail to do science and seek a cause. And it is unnatural that we should create assumptions to overlay reality.
The only magic trick going on? How many fallacies you're attempting to push under the floorboards. And the illusion here is you're trying to portray yourself as this messenger of thought, this philosopher, this theologian, when all your arguments can be picked apart by an 18-year-old. So yeah, you might want to go away and rethink your case completely. You lack an understanding of cause and effect. You lack an understanding of philosophy. You completely lack an understanding of atheism. So you have no qualifications to talk in this field. I'm not on about written qualifications, just basic understanding of what the hell you're talking about. So yeah, that's all really. This is Essence of Thought signing off, and I'm not bleeding, it's just I've been blowing my nose thanks to my flu. I'm just coming out of it now, so yeah. Everybody, take care. This is Essence of Thought. Out.